This week, our country is on the edge of a major movement. And regardless of what side you stand on, regardless of what your political affiliation, to what your political beliefs are, we are on the precipice of making a choice that will impact our lives and humanity for years to come. We are in the position and we have in our hands at this current moment the choices that the implication of our choices will impact our children, our children's children. It will impact our nation. It will impact other nations around us. This is a very critical moment in time. And I know that many people in this particular moment may be concerned. I know that some are afraid. I know that many are excited. We sit in so many on multiple different sides of where we stand. And while I do not by any means, shape, or form talk policies or talk politics or even voting or how we vote, I would challenge you to make sure that your voice is heard. I would challenge you to make sure that your voice is heard, but I would also challenge you to understand and to comprehend the weight of the implication of your choices. There is an implication to every choice that we make. And voting in our election is one that there is a great implication. While I do believe that it is necessary and almost our God-given right to allow our voices to be heard, because your voice does matter, your vote does absolutely matter, no matter what side you stand on. Your voice and your vote matters. What you believe in, what you stand up for, it matters. There are those, while we do not try to change anyone's opinion, we can simply point out and reveal to others what we should aspire to be in order to raise the vibration, raise the light, in order to be the city that is on the hill. What is it that is required from us? What is that biblical stance that we must take? And there was one scripture that really pointed out to me as I tossed and turned with this message and even what to share. That scripture is found in Matthew chapter 23, verse number 23 through 24. The scripture says this: "Woe unto you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You give a tenth of your spices, the mint, the dill, and the cumin, but you have neglected the more important or the more weightier things of the law, which are justice, mercy, and faithfulness. You should have practiced the latter without neglecting the former. You blind guides, you strain out the net, but you swallow the camel." I think that there are implications from our actions, and I think that many times we can focus on the major things and not focus on the minor. And in this particular scripture, I think that we are given a call by Jesus. We're giving a call as humanity to not focus as much on what the Pharisees and the Sadducees focused on, but rather to also focus on the things that they neglected. When we go back to the scriptures, we have a very clear divide of understanding of how the Pharisees and how the Sadducees, how they operated, the space that they operated from. They operated from a very rigid space of trying to follow Moses' law. They did this not from the principle of wanting to be in right standing with Christ, as much as doing this so that they could appear to be something that they weren't in their hearts. They were more concerned about the outward appearance. They were more concerned with the outward show that they put on for others. So much so that they use the law in order to be dogmatic and hurtful to others. They use the scriptures as a weapon to demonize, to make less than human other individuals. This is what the Pharisees and the Sadducees did, so much so that because of their laws, they led the Christ to the cross. The Pharisees, the Sadducees, the keepers of the law, the ones that wanted to make everyone conform to their ideologies, they were the same ones that crucified Jesus. The question would be today, who are the modern day Pharisees and Sadducees? While I'm not going to answer that question for you, what I will say is that they are found in various sectors. They are found within political parties. They are found within religious sectors, in almost cultish-like behaviors. They are found inside of the Pentecostal church. They are found inside of the Baptist church. They are found inside of the Presbyterian church. They are found inside of the Catholic church. They are found inside of the evangelical church. They are found inside of the non-denominational churches. We find these people that will use the scriptures to demonize, to weaponize, to damn people, to draw a line of separation to show that I'm better than you because I do this. I do it openly. But secretly in my heart, I have dismissed the other things of the law, the other things that Christ requires, which is to love, to show kindness, to show mercy, and to show justice. Friends, as we are making our decisions, as we are getting out within these next 2 days to make our decisions, the implications of your actions will determine the course and the nature of not just your life and my life, but our children's lives, our grandchildren's lives. There are so many debates that I've seen on social media that stand to say we should do this or we should believe this because God believes this. We should hold other people accountable to this because God holds us accountable to this. I want to remind us very gently that our God is a God of choice. I say that not on a political stance, but I say that because he gave you and I all the choice to choose him. He doesn't force any of us to choose him. It is a choice that I have made to follow him. It is a choice that I have made to live my life to serve him. It is not something that he made me do. It is not a law that was put in place that made me go after it. But our God is a God of choice. In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter number 28, there is the reminder that he places before us life and death. And there are choices that we are given to make. The nature of God is to give us the choice to choose him. It shows so much more of a relational stance. I want you to imagine for yourself, if you were in a relationship with someone who had no choice, how much would you feel that they were really in love with you? But when they have a choice and they still choose you, the whole social media fad is about wanting to be chosen. Life as a human is about wanting to be seen because people have the choices to do so. I say these words to you today because the implications of your actions will help someone else to see who God is by the nature of who God is, which is love. Come all unto him. He does not give us these laws and requirements of who must come, but he says all must come. All have the right and the privilege to come. And even as a leader in the community, and I have been for over 18 years, where at one point I was more dogmatic with my speaking and with my teaching and even with my beliefs, I had to come to a place of reckoning with the implication of those actions, where I had to also understand that what I believed and who I believed God to be, by being and using the scripture as a weapon, that I was not giving invitation for others to have the love of Christ the way that I did. I will be bold enough to say, even on today, that I don't believe a lot of the ways that I used to believe. I believe that God is a God of all, that he is the God of the black, he is the God of the white, he is the God of the Christian and of the Hindu. I believe that God is the God of the straight, he is the God of the gay. I believe that God is the God of the poor. I believe that God is the God of the rich. I believe that God is the God of the Hindu, of the Buddhist. I believe that God is the God of those in America and those in Africa. I believe that God is a God of all people, and that it is our service, it is our job to allow our implications to love and to welcome those that do not look like us, those that do not believe necessarily the same things that we believe. I believe that it is our role and our job to love our neighbors as ourselves. Our neighbors being the ones that don't think like us. Matthew 22 and 39, we cannot dismiss that scripture because we want to stand on a policy or with a political belief system. We cannot go against that scripture because we want to follow our doctrines of our church or we want to follow our denominational beliefs. If we're going to walk with Christ, then that means that sometimes we must operate and act outside of the norm of even our family members. That means that sometimes we have to take a stance outside of our political systems of belief. It means that sometimes we have to take a stand when it is not the socially accepted thing to do. But we must, because our implication of our actions and of our choices, they will follow us and our children and our children's children. As we are preparing to make our decisions as a nation, I want to take a moment to, one, remind you that it matters. But two, I want to remind you of what Christ has left us in his words to say. And those words are that we not be so focused on the law that we forget to be kind to those that are not like us. Because the box and the restraints that we would inflict upon another will soon be the box and the restraints that we ourselves will be walked into. I know that many times when things don't impact us because it's not our lives, it is very easy for us to push them aside and to give no mind to it. I know that when we see our neighbors struggling because of something that is in place, I know that we can turn a blinded eye because it's not impacting us or anyone that looks like us. But I'm going to challenge you to ask yourself, is that what Jesus would do? I know that that is something that many Christians do not believe anymore, because we would just rather use our Bible against other people by pointing out things and taking scriptures out of context so that we can demonize or we can condemn other people to hell or the further. I want you to imagine for a second, if you were not a believer and you were watching a group of believers and they were trying to win you to be one of them, and the only thing they saw was that you were telling them that they were wrong and that they were going to hell. I want you to imagine how much love that would draw them in, or whether that would push them away, demonize them, and make them feel isolated. The scripture tells us it was with loving kindness that he drew me. It was his love that drew me to him. It was that he loved me regardless of who I was and what I did. It was his love for me that brought him in. We are a city that is on a hill. Our decisions and what we do, it matters. How we show up and how we treat people, it matters. We are either being the Antichrist by demonizing and using scripture to become the Antichrist because the enemy knows the scripture as well, or we are using our scriptures to love. We are using our scriptures to welcome, to show God's love, that as he loved you and as he loved me, he loves all. Allowing him to do the work, because it is none of our jobs to control or to change anyone else. It's God's job to see what's wrong, because even in our finite minds, we look at things one way and we really don't know the ways that God operates, because his ways are not our ways. They're above our ways. They're above our thoughts. I want to challenge you. If you say that you have the love of Christ inside of you, understand the implications of those actions on this week when you go to vote, when you go to make your decision. Maybe your country is not voting wherever you're watching me from. And the challenge is still the challenge to love those that are around you, to allow your light to shine, not using your scripture to hurt and to damage, but using your love and your words to build, encourage, and to lift up. I know that this message was a little longer than the normal, but I want to thank you, each of you, for all that you do. I want to thank you for following me. I want to thank you for subscribing to me. And I know that many may not believe exactly what I believe, and that's okay. I don't get into political debates or anything of its kind. I just share love because I understand the implications of those actions. Thank you for those of you all each week that sow into this ministry. I am forever grateful for each of you. I pray for you every single morning when I wake up, and I continue and will continue to pray for you. Thank you. If you would consider or would like to consider sowing, the choice is up to you. There is a link somewhere in the bio, and you can click on that and you can give. Other than that, don't forget, for those that are in the United States, this is our voting season. Tuesday is election day. Make sure that you use your words and allow Christ to lead you. God bless you today. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful rest of the day.